What if I told you that time isn't as linear as we think? That in rare instances, people have claimed to step out of their own timeline and into the past. One such case happened in 1997 when an Australian teenager, her mother, and her grandmother were traveling through Wales. What started as just a simple search for lodging turned into a night in another century, another time. And when they returned, the place was gone. Welcome to the Shadows of Time, where history, legend, and the unexplained collide. Here we uncover the mysteries that blur the lines between reality and the unknown. Some stories are passed down as myths, while others are documented as just eerie truths. And a few, well, they defy all logic. And tonight, we step into one such enigma, a case of time slip, so bizarre, so detailed, that it challenges everything we know about time itself. Imagine checking into a guest house for the night, only to discover later that it hasn't existed for decades. A simple detour on a road trip turned into an encounter with another century. And when the family returned the next day, the place was gone. So come, pull up a seat, sit next to me by the fire as we dive into this story. Before we dive in, let's take a moment and explore what exactly a time slip is. A time slip is a phenomenon where people suddenly find themselves in a different time period, often the past, without any known cause. Unlike traditional ghost stories, these experiences don't always involve spirits. Instead, it's as if reality itself momentarily shifts, allowing someone to see or even interact with another era. And when they return, no physical evidence remains, only the memories of what they witnessed. Some famous examples of this include the 1901 Moberly Jordan incident, where two women in Versailles claim to have walked into the court of Marie Antoinette, and the Bold Street time slips in Liverpool, where numerous people have reported stepping into the 1950s or 60s before suddenly returning to the present. Now, let's travel to Wales in June of 1997, where an Australian teenager, her mother, and her grandmother embarked on what would become the most mysterious night of their lives. The three were on a road trip through Wales when they realized they needed a place to stay for the night. They stopped at a tourist information center, which, strangely enough, wasn't on their map. A friendly but oddly dressed staff member gave them directions to a nearby guest house. As they drove, the roads became narrower and more isolated. They soon met a local man on the road. His clothes looked very unusual, almost like out of the 19th century. He confirmed they were heading in the right way. Finally, they arrived at the large, crumbling mansion, which seemed like a guest house frozen in time. Inside, they were greeted by a staff dressed in outdated clothing. The home had no modern amenities, no electricity, no plumbing, and oddly enough, it was strangely cold in some places. There were also unexplained footsteps in the halls, but no one seemed alarmed. Despite the odd atmosphere, the family decided to stay the night, but something felt off. The teenager began to feel sick and uneasy. The air itself seemed heavy, almost pressing down on them. The guestbook, which they signed before heading to bed, had a chilling detail. The last recorded entry was from 1979. That meant no one had supposedly stayed there for nearly 20 years. Yet here they were, being served by living, breathing hosts. The next morning, unsettled and unnerved, they quickly left. But later that day, when they realized they had left a book behind, they returned to retrieve it. But when they got back, the mansion was gone. Vanished, kapoof, nowhere. All that remained was a pile of rubble and a memorial stone. The very same stone the teenager had seen from her window the night before. Only now there was no house and no sign that one stood there for decades. That tourist center where they had originally gotten the directions, it no longer existed either. And that mysterious local man who confirmed the road, nowhere to be found. So what really happened here? There are several theories, but none offer a perfect explanation. First, a true time slip. Did the family somehow step through a portal into another time? This would explain why the staff acted indifferent to modern technology, like their car, and why the guest book's last entry was from 1979. The second one, a residual haunting. Some believe that they experienced a residual haunting where the past events replay like an echo. However, this wouldn't explain why they physically slept in the house and interacted with people. The third one, psychological or perceptual distortion. Could have it been a mass hallucination? This theory falls apart when you consider that all three witnesses experienced the same thing. Number 4, what about a parallel universe glitch? A more outlandish idea suggests they briefly stepped into an alternate reality, one where the house still stood. If this is true, it could mean that time itself isn't as fixed as we believed. Time slips remain one of the greatest mysteries of the paranormal world, where these three women simply in the wrong place at the wrong time? Or was the universe trying to show them something beyond our comprehension? What do you think happened to them? Have you ever experienced anything like this? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe for more mysteries, legends, and time-bending tales. Until next time, keep your eyes open, because you never know when time might slip and take you with it.